one more big story out of council today. Members of Hamilton City Council expressing concern about the safety of old empty buildings in the city. They were going over a report on the collapse of 2 buildings last November on Gore Park in the center of downtown Hamilton. Al Sweeney joins us live in studio with the story. Al.
Matt, this was a preliminary report from city staff on the building collapse. It focuses on a number of issues in building inspection and enforcement of building orders in Hamilton. With the preliminary report on the building collapse in front of the city's General Issues Committee, the mayor was recalling the collapse in 2012 of a mall in Elliott Lake.
This particular thing that's happened in our city is not dissimilar to what happened there.
2 people died in the Elliott Lake collapse. There were no injuries in Hamilton when 2 mid-1800s buildings caved in last November. But the report leaves councillors with a lot of questions. The building collapse report from city staff says the buildings had been vacant for over a decade and with a history of bylaw violations. It says there was a property standards order as far back as February 2014 for the building, but says there were gaps in enforcement processes for building orders. It cited 2 cases where the director of licensing told staff to pause enforcement and not to proceed with any enforcement on the Gore Park buildings.
I was surprised that the director had stalled the enforcement a couple of times deliberately, and I don't know why.
Councillor Cameron Cretch says there's a disappointing pattern of a lack of enforcement.
I take from the report that there were a lot of issues with us trying to continually seek compliance from people and then them kind of doing something and us accepting that behavior and then not enforcing our bylaws.
This was an interim report on the collapse that happened here. A final report is due later this year.
I'm really trying to figure out how this kind of thing can happen when, when there are professional engineers involved. It shouldn't be the case that a building falls down.
The mayor says in the case of the Gore Park buildings, it's frightening that the city didn't get any advance warning they could fall in.
All of the pieces are there of the puzzle that says that this building is about to fall down, but the engineer that provides a report to the city doesn't identify that. What are the ramifications for something like that?
The preliminary report didn't deal with the cause of the collapse last November. That should be covered by an upcoming report to council. But this one says enforcement tools like penalties and inspections need to be strengthened.